Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is your brother Nafees Abu Zaid, and here with me is my sahib.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Now, alhamdulillah, this talk, inshallah ta'ala, is the 5th talk in our day lecture, Cultivating Our Children in the Light of the Qur'an and the Sunnah. And this will be the 19th chapter that deals with the musahibatuhum ba'd al-bulugh, being a friend to your children. The topic that me and my co-host, or my sahab, is going to talk about is being a friend to your children. There is a famous athar that is out there that we might have all heard of from Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, where he mentioned about the first 7 years you behave as a parent to your child. You nourish them, you feed them, you provide for them. And then the second 7 years, at this stage, you instruct them, you become their teacher, their guidance. And then the last 7 years, from there you become a sahib, a friend to them. Allahu a'lam as far as the authenticity of this particular athar. Nevertheless, the meaning still can be a benefit be attained from the meaning. Inshallah ta'ala, we're going to go part by part, me and Isa. For those who know us, this is sort of how our style is. So we chose to speak together, inshallah. Tayyib. The author, he mentioned in the beginning of this, he said, بعد أن بذل والد جهد في تربيته لأولاد من المهدي he said فالطفولة المبكرة فالطفولة المتأخرة فمراهقة من سنة الثانية 10 إلى 21. So the Shaykh, he said, after the parent, or one of the parents, or after the parents, and they're striving and cultivating and rearing the children, bringing up the children, right, from the cradle, meaning from the time when they're small, when they're infants, and they bring them up early or later. He said then, when they reach the age of 12, from the age of 12 to the age of 20 or 21, some of the ulama al-nafs,
psychologists,
and some of the psychologists, they mentioned, because the أَدَّ كَانَ وَاجِبًا عَلَيْهِ مِنْ الرِّعَايَةِ. They said that this age, from 12 to 21, the age of 21, the psychologists, they say that this is the age where the aql is fully developed, where the intellect is fully developed, وَتَرْبِيَةٌ مَادِّيَّةٌ وَأَدَبِيَّةٌ وَصَحِّيَّةٌ, the health, okay, the etiquettes, the manners, and this stage between 12 to 21. So when a child reaches 21, at that time, they're saying that most of his senses, most of his intellect should be strong when he reached that age. So it's we call it the what? Teenage years. From the age of what? After bulugh to 18, right? In America, the Westerns. But in Islam, as the brother mentioned to us earlier, after bulugh to when? When do the teenage years stop in Islam? Who could tell me?
15.
Alhamdulillah, you did a good job. Who can tell me, when do the teenage years stop in Islam? Not Western, but in Islam.
When you go here, when you go to puberty,
That's when they are the signs when you reach bulugh, when you reach maturity. But when do your teenage years stop in Islam?
40.
Ahsan. From after the time of your bulugh, right? Even if it be at the age of 15, up until 39, you are still considered to be a shab. Alright? You're still considered to be a shab. Right? The downhill, but you still will be. You become a full, complete man in Islam at the age of 40. What's so special about this number 40? Who can tell me? Ahsan. Is when the Prophet ﷺ became a prophet. Age 40. What's another thing that's special about the age 40? Allah Jalla wa Ala, He mentioned in the Qur'an about the child, the one who disobeys his parents, or the one who is not righteous to his parents. Allah Jalla wa Ala mentioned فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ Arba as-Sinin, when he reached the age of 40, and he says something, right, to his parents, like when he make dua for his parents, and he supplicates for his parents, right? Allah Jalla wa Ala mentioned that this particular person at the age of 40. So 40 here is being mentioned. Ibn Abbas and others from among them, they say that this is the stage of complete manhood, the age of 40. Okay, so you're still a shab. So we got some people here that's 34. He's still a shab. You run around and say, you know what, I'm still a shab. What, I'm still for the youth, mashallah.
Not really, right?
No. Tell you, okay, it's important to be a friend to your child. Alhamdulillah. Our brother Isa, he's going to mention the next part.
نعم, and he says, وأحسن أن يصاحبه يعتبره رجلا ويحمله مسؤولية ويناصحه ولا يعني هذا أن يتركه بعد البلوغ ويرشده. And the Sheikh, he goes on and he says that what's best, meaning we already mentioned the kalam of the psychologist. We're going to mention now what Islam says, right? And he says that what's best is that you stay a companion, even if you understand him to be a man and he has different affairs that he's responsible for. Because somebody at 21 in his 20s, he may be married already. Some countries, 18, he's already married, depending on where you live. And he says that, and you advise him. This doesn't mean just because he's a man, he has wife, he has kids, he has all of that, he's 18. It doesn't mean that you leave him from advising him after puberty or when he reaches that age and advising him in his affairs of his deen. He said, and it's incumbent upon the parent to still stick to how he was raising this child, or stick with him even after he was in puberty, even after 18. We don't say what the kuffar say, 18, she's grown. He's grown, and we leave our children like that. Well, he's 18 and he's on his own. Where you get that from? Islam doesn't teach that. Because Ibrahim alayhi salam didn't leave Ismail. He kept advising his son. He kept coming to visit his son. Luqman, as we're going to see, he didn't do that. His son reached the age of maturity, and he didn't leave his son like that. He kept advising his son with the same thing he was advising him when he was younger. So we don't have that concept in Islam that somebody reached 18 and they're grown. In fact, it's even better now to advise them because now they have accountable in front of the Lord. The angel's writing down his deeds. So it's even more incumbent upon you now to stay with him and to keep advising him. Because when he was 7, he wasn't held accountable for anything. When he was 10, right? But at 18, he's definitely held accountable. He's been in puberty for 6 years by then at least. So he's even held accountable at that point. And the Sheikh, he goes on and he says, وَقَدْ قَصَ الْقُرْآنُ الْكَرِيمُ قَصَصًا مِنْ إِرْشَادِ
وَيَرْشَدُهُ إِلَى كُلِّ خَيْرٍ وَيَرْشَدُهُ إِلَى كُلِّ خَيْرٍ.
I'm past that. I'm past that. I'm past that. You might have it in there.
Yeah. وَيَرْشَدُهُ إِلَى كُلِّ خَيْرٍ.
I didn't cuss the Qur'an. I'm right here. قد قص القرآن الكريم قصصا.
No, the end of that paragraph.
وإلى كل خير.
Yeah.
إلى كل خير.
Mention that part, inshallah.
No. And he says that, and then a person that you guide your child to all that is good. This wasn't in my I didn't have it written here.
The brother written it down.
Yeah,
Before we go on, I want to bring 2 points from that. The first point about when you get the age of 21 and you don't stop befriending them and don't stop instructing them, it shows us that the child, once he grows to that certain age, he still should have a what? A respect for the experience of his parents.
Mm-hmm.
He still should respect his father in that role. Right? He or she, whether it's a daughter, whether it's a son, they should make sure that it shows that you should have great concern for your parents. This is why it's mentioned that the Prophet ﷺ in a hadith, authentic hadith, that he mentioned that one of the greatest sins that a person can do after shirk is what?
Yeah.
Disobey his parents. Right? And multiple verses in the Qur'an, Allah Jalla wa Ala shows you, after the right of Allah, He brings the right of who?
The parent is tied with the right, tied into
It's tied into that.
Yep.
So this is why it's very important to what? Show. And also we know that the Prophet ﷺ, what did he used to do with his daughters? Anybody can tell me? What did the Prophet ﷺ used to do with his daughters? We gotta go back and do a biography class, huh? He was the Sunnah. No. The Prophet ﷺ and Fatima, radiallahu ta'ala anha, whenever the Prophet ﷺ would visit Fatima, right, she would stand up when she see her father, right? He would stand up. He would kiss her on her forehead, or he would give her a kiss. right? On the forehead. This is something out of respect. A lot of us probably don't, accustomed to this with our own children, but this is what the Prophet ﷺ would do. Abdullah ibn Umar, he told his son, you do not stand before your father. You do not walk ahead of him, right? You don't walk behind him, you walk beside him. This is good instruction, showing you the role of the father, right? Also, another point I wanted to bring, this shows us that the parents must be upon khayr. Khayr consists of iman and what?
Righteous actions.
And righteous actions, which is sunnah. So that this shows us that the parent must be instructing the kid with that which is good. Because it's a duty upon the parent to what? Guide that particular child to that which is khayr. Now the brother can continue, inshallah.
And he goes on, the Shaykh, he goes on, he says, قَصَّ القرآن الكريم قصص من إرشاد بالصالحين وترجيهم إلى كل خير وتحذيرهم من كل شر. قال تعالى إذ قال لقمان لابنه هو يعظه يا بني لا تشرك بالله إن الشرك لظلم عظيم. And this is very important. He says that the Qur'an, we give this story from the Qur'an that will gives us a story of the Salihin and the way that they guided their children to the good and warned them from the evil, all evil. And he says, when Luqman said to his son, and he was advising him, he said, oh my son. And look how, one of the points we can bring before we bring the major point from this, look how he talked to his son. He said, yeah, boy, you need to say, oh my son, yeah, bunayya. In Arabic, that's a real term of endowment to say, like, for example, instead of saying Abby, you'll hear some people have a certain level of respect for their father. Yeah, Abati. That's like a higher level than just saying Abby. My father, it's like a higher level of endowment. And he said this to his son. It shows us that we shouldn't, the way we talk to our children. Come here, boy. Shut up. Sit down. I'm going to smack you. We don't have this in Islam. I'm going to punch you in your chest. You know, the way we grew up with our uncles. That's how animals get treated. Animals don't even treated like that. And we'll find that that way of teaching our children, it causes what? Violent criminals. That's what it causes. It causes behavior problems, mental problems. Look at the school system. Look at the streets. These children are brought up in homes where they're beat on, talked down to, all types of things. Islam blocks from that. And just because we see it happening, we don't have to accept that type of behavior. And he says that, and he was warning, he was advising his son. And the first thing he said to his son, do not commit shirk with Allah. This goes to show you that the first thing we need to be teaching our children is not to be a pagan. Not to say Allah has a son. Not to say Allah is three in the Trinity. Not to say we can worship graves. Not to stay away from worshiping the sun and the moon and the stars. And explain it to him in detail. He said, Inna shirkum ladhulmun adhim. That verily shirk is the greatest of oppression. It's the greatest thing that a human being can commit that's evil. And if that's the case, then we need to be warning our children from making sure they detailed in it. Not just, okay, shirk is associated partners with Allah. Shirk is, what the Christians do. That's not detailed information. Shirk is the greatest of oppressions. And if Allah mentioned that, he said, Inna, if anybody knows studying Arabic, then he put the lamb on it. On the word shirk, showing Tawqidain, two emphases. That without a shadow of a doubt, shirk is the greatest thing, greatest evil that's on the earth. So if that's the case, then you need to make sure your children are detailed in it. When they start young, you start them off something small, right? You give them the three parts of Tawheed, make sure they know it. You let them know, you put small basic things about what shirk is. Now when they get 7 years old, get a little bit more detail. When they get 14, through 7 to 14, you get a little bit more detail. 14 to 21, now they should be scientific at this point. Because then they have to worship Allah clearly. And if we're not doing that, we're failing our children in reality.
So before we move on, I just want to mention the point again. The verse dealing with what is called Luqman libnihi wa huwa ya'idhuhum. This is the fact that that Allah Jalla wa Ala has affirmed in here that a sign of a father being righteous is advice. A sign of a father being righteous is that he gives advice. A father should always be one who gives advice to his children. Whether it is the male, whether it's the daughter or the son. He should always give advice. And that advice should be based on, first and foremost, the injunctions of Allah being carried out.
No.
Because the first piece of advice that Luqman gives to his son is the haqq Allah. And this is something that we should tell our children. Also, it goes back again to look how the Prophet ﷺ dealt with the companions that was around him. Abdullah ibn Abbas. He said, Ya Ghulam, oh boy, I should teach you some words. That, if you take it, I should teach you these words. And these words was precious. But look what he was telling him in those things. He said, if you ask, he said, if you ask Allah, if you need to ask anything, then ask only Allah Jalla wa Ala. Right? And he said, وَعَلَمْ لَوْ أَنَّ أُمَّةً, know that if the ummah was to, gather together to do some harm to you, they cannot carry out that harm unless that which is written for you or decreed for you. Right? The Allah Jalla wa Ala decreed for you, and vice versa. But these were some precious words that he was telling a child that was like 15, according to some of the ulama of hadith. Alright? Abdullah ibn Abbas. How many of us sit down and have a real intelligent conversation with our children? Our children are intelligent. They're intelligent. They know how to use the tablets. They know how to use the phones. They know how to be manipulative. Right? They know how to play both parents against another. Children are intelligent. And especially the more that you feed them, because they're sponges. When they're at a certain age, they pick up everything. They pick up your behavior. It's the first thing they say. You. And then they pick that up. And they know how to play it apart. Right? So you should not be as shy to tell your child about the haqq of Allah. This is a sign of righteousness. The other point I wanted to bring, also, not only that, as the Sheikh mentioned, said the Sheikh. As the brother mentioned, inshallah.
You're trying to break my back up here, right?
As the brother mentioned about the fact of the point that he brought about Ya Bunayya, right? This point of endearment, this word of endearment, right? There are other words besides Arabic, how we speak to our children, there should be something of endearment, right? Sometimes your children, how when we small, pop show up or mom show up at the school, like, come on, mom, you drawing, like, daddy, you drawing, right? You don't want everybody seeing you with you, However, there's certain things the way that you should pay attention to your child. If your child like you to address them a certain way, as long as they ain't derogatory, as long as they ain't outside the bounds of the Sharia, then you should address them with that. This builds love. This builds a bond. This lets your child know that you understand them and that you respect their wishes. Sometimes as a father figure, we'd be like, just go do what you gotta do. Meal supposed to be made. Children supposed to do what they do. You playing, leave me alone. I'm the disciplinary. That's not Islam. Anas ibn Malik, he said, the Prophet ﷺ, I was in his service for 10 years. He never raised his voice. He never struck me. He never even frowned at me. What's the other narration when the child was eating? The Prophet ﷺ, what did he do? How did he instruct the child? He was eating all over his plate. Picking. He said what? Say Bismillah. Eat that which is closest to you. I mean, this is pure wisdom in dealing with your child, inshallah ta'ala. So the brother can continue, inshallah.
He said, يخبر تعالى عن وصية لقمان لابنه أوصاه أولا بأن يعبد الله وحده لا شريك له أحدا ثم قال محذرا له إن الشرك من ظلم عظيم. And he says that, the Shaykh, he says, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs us of the advice of Luqman to his son. And the first thing that he advised him with, what? Is the worship Allah alone without partners, right? And do not commit shirk with him with anyone. Then he warned them of this thing that he told them not to do. He said, verily, shirk is the greatest of oppressions. He warned them. So that shows us what? That we should warn our children. We have experiences. We should warn them about the streets. It's okay to sit your son down and warn him about the streets. It's okay to warn him about the things we used to do back before Islam. It's okay to let them know, warn you about these girls out here. It's okay to warn them about the alcohol. And I'll give you an example. When my children first came, it's a real life example. My children first came to the States. They spent most of their lives in the Middle East, right? And when they got here, the country basically freaked them out. They never seen this level of evil before. And they never was around Christians, and they didn't really see any of that stuff, right? Christmas and Halloween and things like that, right? So when they got back here, it freaked them out. Halloween, they seen it. My young son Muhammad thought it was shayateen. He said, "Yeah, Abby, hum shayateen, yamshuna fil ard." These people are devils walking in the earth. Because he had their mask on. You know, he didn't know there was humans even behind. He didn't know who they were, right? And my daughter asked my mother, well, asked me in Arabic. She whispered to me in my ear. She said, "What's wrong with grandmothers? You know, something's okay. She's crazy or something. Something's wrong." I said, "No." She said, "Well, she grows trees in her house. It was a Christmas tree." They didn't get it, right? So they didn't really want to go outside. They were like withdrawn, and they didn't know. They knew English, but they didn't know the slang. The people speak fast in Philadelphia. They didn't get it, so they tight and they scared. So I called my teacher, Sheikh Mahmoud Amr, and I called him and I said, "Listen, Sheikh, my kids are tight. They're psychologically, the places, you know, they're just not getting it, and they're staying away from the society." The first thing he said was, he said, "Make dua for them." Second thing he advised him with, he said, "Take them outside by the hand, supervise them, walk them through your neighborhood for about an hour or so, and show them every single thing that's evil there." And he said, "You ain't got to bash the people out." He said, "Don't say all these people are disgusting. Don't tell them none of that." He said, "Why?" And I said, "Why should I do that?" He said, "Because they're going to see the effects of the evil and not going to want to do it. They're going to see the effects of drinking alcohol and doing drugs in a bar. People come out the bar looking dirty and dark." He said, I don't want to do that. So it goes to show you that's from our religion, to warn our children of the evil. He said, "In the shirk of he warned them. It's upon us to warn our children." And after that, they still don't like the place though. But it's easier for them because they see it, they understand it. They understand the reality of it. And he said they grow mercy for the people. He said if they don't have that mercy, right, and you keep them away totally from seeing what's going on, they may become extremists. They may end up hating the kuffar to the point where they want to blow them up, where they want to harm them, because they don't understand them. So you got to make sure they understand them, so they can have some easiness with them. So inshallah ta'ala, we'll let the sheikh look like he did me. We'll let the brother go next. I ain't going to hog everything from him.
SubhanAllah, Shaykh. وعن عبد الله بن مسعود رضي الله تعالى عنه قال لما نزل على الذين آمنوا ولم يلبسوا إيمانهم بالظلم شك ذلك على أصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. He says, so on the authority of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Who is Abdullah ibn Mas'ud? This is your homework. It's for the young ones. Next time I see y'all, you have to tell me who is Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Okay? And give me one good quality about him. Alright? One good quality about him. We can do that inshallah. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said, when this verse was revealed, Alladina amanu walam yalbisu imanahum bil-dhulm, that comes in Surah An'am, which is the 6th chapter of the Qur'an. It said, those who believe and they do not mix up with their belief, their iman, dhulm. Right? So here, the companions, when they heard this verse, they complained to the Prophet ﷺ. And they said, Ayyuna lam yalbis imanahu bil-dhulm. Which one from amongst us doesn't do wrong? Which one from amongst us, iman is not affected by doing wrong? Huh? Oh, we're not perfect. Which one? The Prophet ﷺ responded and said, Innahu laysa bidhalik. He said, this verse is not like that. It doesn't mean what you understood from it. He said, Ala tasma'u ila qawli Luqman. He said, did you not hear the statement of Luqman to his son? In the Quran, when Allah said, Ya bunayya la tushrik billah, fa inna ash-shirk la zulmun azim. So here the Prophet ﷺ, he used another verse to do what? Explain another verse. What is this? It's a principle of what? Yeah, with me, I just don't stick to one topic, so I want to pull your minds on a little bit. Yeah, this is the principle of tafsir. Qur'an, explaining Qur'an. You see the Prophet ﷺ doing that? He used another verse to explain another verse. Alright? The Prophet ﷺ said, no, did you not hear what Luqman said? He said, oh my son, do not commit shirk with Allah. Inna shirk, indeed shirk, is la zulmun azim. So here the word zulm come again. Right? So now we know that shirk is what? Zulm. Right? Shirk is zulm. Right? And the greatest of evil, as our brother Isa said, the greatest of evil is shirk. So we have to warn our children from all evil. But we have to have a systematic type of way of teaching. And this is sometimes you don't, if you pay attention to the Qur'an and the Sunnah, you will see it. You got to build them up first. So the top level is shirk. Luqman didn't start with anything else. He started with shirk. Right? And then after that, the Shaykh goes on, he says, ثم قص الله سبحانه وتعالى وصية أخرى للقمان لابنه قال سبحانه وتعالى يا بني إنها إن تك مثقال حبة من خردل فتكون في صخرة أو في السماوات أو في الأرض يأتي بها الله إن الله لطيف خبير. So he brings a group of verses that he's going to say next. But here Allah relates to us another piece of advice that Luqman said to his son. Alright? Many scholars have did many works on just these pieces of advice that Luqman gave to his son, which is very viable. He said, "O my son, indeed, in taku mithqala habbatin min khardalin." Okay? Even if you do something, right? Okay? That'd be so minute, right? Mithqala. That's just like the what?
The mustard seed.
The mustard seed. It's so minute. It's so small. Not like an atom, but like a mustard seed. It's so small. Then he said, "Rarely, if it be on a rock, if it be inside a rock, this little small mustard seed, or if it be in the heavens or on the earth, Allah will bring it forth." What was he telling the son by saying this piece of advice? You can tell me. What was he saying to his son in this advice? Ahsan. He was telling that Allah Jalla wa Ala is al-Raqib, allowing the children to know that there is someone always watching them, which put them on alert. Also knowing that Allah is al-Raqib is part of what?
Part of Tawheed.
Not just part of Tawheed, part of what? Part of what level of the deen? What level of the deen is knowing Allah is al-Raqib? Yeah, you had a lecture, but you were in class too.
The brother right here said, brother over here said it.
What do you say? Ihsan. Ahsan. It's the highest level. Right? Ihsan consists of two types. But anyway, al-Raqib. So he's telling his son, no matter whatever you do, whatever befall you, right? Whatever happened, whatever you do, know that Allah Jalla wa Ala is going to see it. Whether it's in the heavens, whether it's in the earth, whether it's on a rock, He's going to see it. And then he says, يَا بُنَيَّ أَقِيمَ الصَّلَاةَ وَأْمُرُ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَانْهَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا أَصَابَكَ إِنَّ ذَلِكَ مِنْ عَزْمِ الْأُمُورِ. He said, "Oh my son, establish the prayer." Alright? The first pillar of Islam is what? What is the first pillar of Islam? Shahada, right? What is that called? Shahada is under what bracket in Islam from the sciences? Aqeedah is from what? Tawheed. Alright, I'm going somewhere with this. Tawheed. The next thing he told his son, what did he tell him next? Aqim as-salat. You don't see the pillars? Do you see the lay down? And the advice. He told him first, don't commit shirk. Worship Allah. Know that Allah can see you. Know that Allah is all knowledgeable. So forth and so on. He gave him the haqq of Allah. Then he went and explained to him the next thing you need to be doing is prayer. You see the prophet, you know, this is prophetic advice. Right? Even though it's a difference of opinion amongst the ulama, whether Luqman was a prophet or not. For those who take that view, you can go back to those arguments. But anyway, here he says, هذه وصايا نافعة قد ذكرها الله سبحانه وتعالى عن لقمان حكيم. We heard another brother get some of this. He said, ليتمثلها الناس ويقتدوا بها. فلقمان أرشد ابنه إلى أن مظلوم أو خطيئة لو كان مثقال حبة من خردل يحضرها الله يوم القيامة ويجازي عليها إن خير فخير وإن شر فشر. He said that these pieces of advice, beneficial pieces of advice that Luqman, parted with his son, Allah Jalla wa Ala mentioned him from Luqman al-Hakim. This was his attribute. He was the Luqman the wise. Anybody know what Luqman was? What was his origin, ethnicity? Anybody know who he was? Luqman. Anybody know? Anybody know what Luqman's profession was? What was Luqman's profession? Luqman was of African descent. That's first and foremost. Secondly, he was a Najjar. What is a Najjar?
Carpenter.
He was a carpenter. That means he did things, as they say, he liked to
Work with his hand.
like to work with his hands. He liked to, be hands-on in this situation, right? He did things with his hands. You can learn a lot from a carpenter, right? Look at these pieces of ice that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him a whole story. And he mentioned these pieces of ice that he gave to his son, right? He was in the job, son. So he said here, Luqman, he said, from these pieces of advice, mankind can take what? Examples. Mm-hmm. Mankind can also do what? Not only take examples, but they can lead by them. They can take them as examples. For Ali Luqman, he guided his son to the fact that if any oppression or any wrong or any mistake or sin that were committed, whether it be small as a mustard seed, whether, right, Allah is going to bring it forth in the day of judgment, and he's going to bring the people account. And if it's good, he's going to reward them with good, and if it's evil, he's going to reward them with good. Reward them with evil. This is similar to the statement of Allah Azza wa Jalla, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرٍ فَيَرَىٰ وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَىٰ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, whoever does a weight of a good deed, that's small, weight of an atom, then he should see it. And whoever does a bad deed, the weight of an atom, then he should what? He should see it. The brother's going to go next.
Nah, and also we're going to go back just a little bit, because there's a benefit that was brought out of this too, is that how Aqidah should be taught. How we should teach Aqidah, whether it's to our children or other than our children. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the way to teach Aqidah in this ayah. He mentioned shirk. And that's the greatest of oppression, right? To teach him shirk, you got to also teach him what? Tawheed. While you're teaching him shirk, you're going to be teaching him Tawheed. You can't get away from it, right? And after he taught him that, then he gave him detail about Allah's Tawheed. He mentioned Allah being Latif al-Khabir, all-knowing, all-seeing. He mentioned the angels. Why? Because something is only to be beloved when you know it. When you know it, you love it. Right? When you know something, you love it. If you don't know it, how you going to love it? I'm not saying you may love me generally, but once you get to know me, you're going to grow more love or more hate for me. Depends. May Allah help us. I mean, but you understand the point I'm making, right? So the way Aqidah is taught, you come with the general concepts, then as people go on, you get immediate. Even the scholars teach that way. Starts with the Latha, right? Then they do Qur'an al-Arba, then they do Kitab al-Shuhat, then they do Kitab al-Tawheed, then Aqidah al-Wasitiyya, and on and on and on and on and on. Then you get to the bigger books of Aqidah, but you already got groundwork. You already have groundwork already, right? Even one of our brothers gave a benefit, we're not going to call him out, but if you memorize Kitab al-Tawheed, then you kind of got the Surah al-Latha and Qur'an al-Arba mixed in there, right? So the Shaykh goes on and he mentions, مهما كانت ضرر خافية يأتي بها من لا يخفى عليه خافية وقوله إن الله لطيف خبير. And he mentions, he says, so when an individual, when you know, he said, when the dharra, atom's weight, right? Allah's going to bring back, an atom we can't see, it's all around us, right? We can't see him. According to the scientists, atoms are around us and we can't see him. Allah's going to bring back. So if you did something that small, that minute, Allah's going to bring it, right? And I'm going to bring a good point how this deals with parenting when you teach your kids this, right? And he says, so nothing is hidden from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, Inna Allah latiful khabir. And he says, verily Allah is the all-knowing in detail. Latiful khabir is deep how Allah brings two names of Allah that have some of the same meaning. One is more detailed than the other one. Latif can also mean kind, but here it doesn't mean that. Here it means knowing. But khabir means detail. Yani Allah knows everything in this minute detail. If you teach a child this, right, and you raise them on this, how does this help your parenting? How do you think? That's one way. That's not what I'm looking for, but that's a good point. I mean, what's a way that this will help us with our parents? Something that we all deal with. If our children don't know this, we're going to have a headache. If they don't really take hold of this, we're going to have a headache.
Knowing that whatever they do, Allah sees it. So hopefully within their actions, they think about some of the actions that they do, whether we're there or not, because they know Allah sees it.
Okay. Give me an example of that benefiting you in your home.
And the fact that, like for example, if I tell them that my children are age and it's time for them to pray,
Yeah.
and I'm at work, so
Mhm.
they figure Abby's not here, so I don't have to pray.
That's a perfect example.
But yeah, so
If they know that, then what's going to happen if you're not there?
They're going to carry it out.
They're going to carry it out, right? So a child, you say, all right, well, listen, I'm going to work. I want you to do this, that, and the third. If they are upon this understanding, you come back, the stuff's going to be done. If they're not under this understanding, like, man, that guy not here. Where's the PlayStation? Now, where's the Xfinity? When he get back, we'll tell him we did it. You know what I'm saying?
He don't know the unseen.
Yeah, he don't know the unseen. And they might say only the Lord does. It's still not going to do it. And the Lord help us.
Amen.
So, and he goes, he says, العلم بأشياء وخبر بكل شيء حتى دبيب النمل في الليل البحيم كل مخلوق يرى ما لا يرى. And he goes on, he says, this means knowledge of things, of all of the different things, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to inform everyone about every single thing, even if it's almost like a black ant in the blackest of night, on a rock in the blackest darkest night. Imagine a dark black ant, little ant, right? You ever seen the army ants? They're black, right? And imagine that on a black rock in the blackest of night. And we don't really see that here because we got street lights, but I've been in the desert. And all those who've been in the desert know when it goes nighttime, it's dark in the desert. I'm right, Naeem? It's dark. There's no street lights. It's dark. You know, and you don't want to go messing around in those holes neither. I did that and had to run from a snake. And it happens. But I'm saying is it gets dark, and sometimes it's dark enough you can go like that. It's dark. Now imagine that Allah, whatever you did in that type of dark, Allah's still gonna bring it forth from Yom Qiyamah. If we know that, and we're teaching our children that, first of all, we're gonna be upright. So our children gonna watch us be upright. And then they're gonna be like, man, I gotta do this homework. My dad ain't here, but he is, yo. Allah's here, so let me write this homework out, get it done. And then we got to also make sure they understand that it's ibadah. Obeying you is an act of worship. Obeying you is an act of ibadah. Doing that homework, as you said, do it, is an act of worship. Don't make them feel as though it's just homework. Obeying you is an act of ibadah. And you got to make sure they understand that and they're sincere in that. If they are, they will do everything you ask them to do, except the haram. We got to also teach them you don't obey us in everything. We can't be afraid to tell our children that my speech, I can make mistakes in my speech. And if I do, and you know Allah and His Messenger didn't say that, it's okay to respectfully, Abby, Allah and His Messenger didn't say that. We got to teach our children to be men and women too, not cower. Stand up for Islam.
So the Shaykh, he said, ثُمَّ أَوْصَى لُقْمَانُ بِنِهِ بِإِقَامَةِ الصَّلَاةِ. Then Luqman, he went next and he started to break down about Iqamat al-Salat, establish the prayer. I want to ask a quick question. At what age do you supposed to teach your children how to pray?
7.
At 8, you supposed to teach them how to pray at 7?
6.
Or do you supposed to command them to pray at 7?
Uh-oh.
Which one? What age do you supposed to teach your children how to pray? Everyone said that you're supposed to teach them at 7? La. Hadith said command them with the prayer at 7. Not teach them at 7. Pay attention to the important. They should already know. Why should they know how to pray? Because they see you. They see mommy. So they are learning how to pray. They're going to mimic you from the age of 2, from the age of 3, from the age of 4. Some of the scholars, they mention a narration that comes in Bulugh al-Maram, Ibn Sana'ani, where Ibn Hajar placed this in his Kitab Bulugh al-Maram. We don't want to sound knowledgeable here, but this hadith actually comes where a child was at the age of 6 leading some of the senior companions in prayer. And they talked about this argument in dealing with what condition of the prayer. This condition of the prayer, they say that when a child can discern between right or wrong, right? And they differ about whether or not it's the age of 7 or it's not. Because this hadith, he was 6 and he led them in prayer. So if he was able to tell between right and wrong at the age of 6, he can still lead them in prayer. This is a big argument, but still, it's good to understand that you teach your children from the moment they come out. Okay? Education starts from the moment they come out, not until they get 7. 7 is when you command them. Alright? This is why Sheikh Al-Albani was of the opinion, and it's just his humble opinion, that you should not beat your children from the age of 1 to 10. I mean, was he dealing with our kids, right? But still, you know, you don't supposed to beat. Why? But look at the hikmah. He said you don't do that because when it comes time to discipline them for salat, they need to be able to differentiate between when you beating them, they did something wrong, and they need to do that. So if you beating them all constantly, every time for every little thing, when it comes to the salat, they might don't differentiate between the two. And the scholars, they said that it's supposed to be ta'deeb, not ta'deeb. It's not supposed to be a punishment. It's supposed to be a disciplinary action. It's supposed to be, you're supposed to be disciplining them, not punishing them. Right? Not punishing them. He's definitely not supposed to give them a PlayStation. If they're not praying, no PlayStation. They ain't playing, no phone, no tablet, no TV, no nothing. Prayer must be an integral part of their lives. And the more that they see it, the more better it becomes. Okay? He went on and he said, what does it mean by giving them the salat? You're supposed to teach them how to establish it, its obligations, its limitations, its pillars, right? It's the time that it's supposed to be prayed in, all right? The obligations of them. He said, you teach your children and command them to command the good and forbid the evil. Unfortunately, in our culture, they tell us don't be a tattletale, right? Stop snitching. Sounds right. Anyway, nobody like a tattletale, right? Someone says that you go to mommy, she's telling her sibling, so Rashida did this, or Ahmed not let me hold this, or he's doing this, he's hitting me with this, right? I mean, tell. But commanding the good, forbidding the evil should be weighed with that which Allah Jalla and His Messenger has legislated. For example, if you teach your child that lying, right? That lying is a sin with Allah Jalla and what the Messenger ﷺ has instructed us of, and that lying should not be done. And your child should be able to command the good when they see someone lying. Right? They should be able to command the good. That means that should apply to you as also. Yep. Daddy, you told me such and such. Right? You got a white lie. You got a permissible lie. Is lying ever permissible? Sometimes we see it translated like that. You ever notice it's permissible to lie in this case here? Want to be careful with the translation. Yeah, I know what you're going to use. But is lying permissible? The Prophet ﷺ mentioned in 2 different narrations. One, he said that deception is a part of war. Okay? Deception is a part of war. That's in war. Okay? As to counteract your enemy. Right? And also, he mentioned 3 instances in where to bring about islah or rectification, one can omit the truth. Omitting the truth is not lying. You understand the difference? One can omit the truth. For example, your wife, she come out with a garment that she thinks is best. You might not really like the garment. You know what I mean? And you tell her, it's okay. Right? You really, you want to give her opinion like, well, I think you should take that off and go put the other one on. I actually like that better because you want to get, argument and stuff like that. So you say that omitting the truth is not lying. Another instance is when you can do this. When else can you do this? Not just with your wife. When can you do it else?
You got 2 brothers.
Son, extremely important. You got 2 people at each other's neck. 2 brothers. Right? 2 brothers. That's going at it. You know both of them. Or you got 2 blood brothers that's going at it. One of the brothers can go to the other brother and say, you know what? Brother so-and-so said you nice. He apologized. He want to get together. Let's do something. And then he goes to the other brother and he say the same thing. Right? And then when they both get together, they come together, they see each other, and they came and start talking to each other based on that to bring about Islah. Here, this is bringing about a rectification. This is not lying. Right? What's the last one? What's the last one? We already did the wife. We did the wife. Last one is
You're being oppressed.
son. So when you fear for your life, or you fear from someone's life, you fear you're being oppressed by an oppressive tyrant, ruler, as in the case of Ibrahim and Imran, when he told about his wife being his sister. Well, she is his sister in faith, huh? Because he didn't want the king to oppress her, right? And take his wife. So he said, yeah, that's my sister. Right? So that's the case of being done. This is important to really be a friend to your children. Being a friend to your children consists of, brothers and sisters, enter into their world. This is something that I fall short on. It's something that many of us might fall short. We don't need a psychiatrist sometimes to come tell us how to enter the world of our children. Seriously. We don't need someone who thinks it's okay socially to drink. Islam do not condone or promote drinking. Someone who takes social hours to drink coming to us and giving us a diagnosis on our children. No, we should be able to do that from the Qur'an and the Sunnah. Qur'an and the Sunnah teaches how to diagnose ourselves and our children. It's the cure. So we should be able to enter the world of that child. How do you enter the world of that child? You listen to that child. Child talk to you through multiple ways. Okay? Some of the ways a child can talk to you is through expressions. How they do different things. Some ways a child can communicate with you, right, is writing down things. Tantrums. Why are they behaving like this? It's very important that we are astute. We are paying attention to our children. You know? And this is where the mother come in at. And I don't want to gang up on the sisters here, but this is why the ulama, they mentioned that the first haq of the child is picking a righteous spouse, because that woman have to be a madrasa. Normally in a perfect world, the man goes out and work, so the woman should be a school so that she can, you know, enforce those particular things to be done. But in the case of the society that we live in, where multiple women are not married and they outnumber men and they have to go out and work, you know, in that case, it's not the same, okay? So we have to be careful with that. You want to carry some more? We're ready to stop soon.
We'll do this last part and then stop here. So يصبر, the Shaykh, he continues and he says, ويصبر على ما أصابه لأن الداعي إلى الله لابد أن ينال أذى والصبر على أذى الناس من عزائم التي يوهبها الله لأهل دعوته. And he says that, we'll stop here, about sabr. Next thing he told his son about being patient with life. And we all live, most of us probably live in pretty rough neighborhoods, so we know we should learn about being patient. And our children know about being patient. Oh, I'm sorry. They should know about being patient. And the Shaykh, he mentions, he says, so you should teach your children to be patient about what affects them or calamities that fall upon him. He said, because the one who calls to Allah, which all of us in some capacity are callers to Allah. So just don't think it's upon the imam in the masjid, the students, the dais, those. It's upon every single individual in here who's held accountable to be a caller to Allah on your level, either by your actions or your statements. All right? And he says, so when you're doing that, it's no doubt that you're going to be faced with harms. So you have to be patient with the harms of the people. You have to be patient. Harms are going to come. Allah made it clear that without no doubt we're going to test you with something of fear, hunger, loss of wealth, loss of family members. That's going to happen. We may not all get all of it, but all of us will get some of it. And when it happens, your children have to be ready to deal with that. And if you live in the inner cities, you deal with a calamity every day. Bills backed up, somebody gets shot in your block, cops up and down the street, they smoking marijuana, there's bars on the corner. It's a constant calamity. So you got to teach your children how to be patient with these things. You got to, with the harms of the people, because they're going to get harmed. When they come home, guy sitting on the step rolling a blunt. Guy drinking 40 ounce. Somebody's half dressed, his neighbor, and they got loud music playing on. These are harms. These people, this is oppression. You have to teach them to be patient with it, not to snap out on them, not to go crazy on them. Understand their condition and be patient with them. And
or they gotta wait till the next check to get a McDonald's.
Oh, I mean, that's hard.
Burger Kings. Or they get that toy.
Yeah.
Okay, they have to wait. Daddy can't get it for you today. Mommy can't get it for you today. Trials. You
gotta be patient with it. So at the end of it all, he says, so these are from the things that Allah gives to those who call to His da'wah, He gives them this strength and this firm will, that they have patience, whatever happens to them. So if a kid, he can't get Call of Duty, and he throws his kufi against the wall, you got to teach him to be patient. You know what I'm saying? So inshallah, we'll stop there.
Alhamdulillah. Barakallahu feek. The next speaker will be our brother Naeem. That will be the last speaker. We thank everybody for coming out in 10. And inshallah ta'ala, we all want to sit down and benefit from our brother. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Jazakallah khairan. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.